I wanted to put out a follow-up to my last vid on what I think of the problems that people who work for the TSA recently went through. The most recent big news regarding that is that Trump signed an executive order on Friday of last week to pay them, and now the chaos at the airports seems to be dying down a little. There you have it, just by way of scribbles on a piece of paper by our wonderful ruler on the throne. Now suddenly there's enough money to pay those people and give them their back pay regarding their 2 missed paychecks. See, statists, I told you it'll all be okay. Things always work out in the end for thugs who work for the government. I have a tendency to ruffle some feathers when it comes to truth and standing for actual freedom, not the illusion of it just because we live in the USA. It's in my nature to question everything, especially when it comes to the government. I look at things from a morality standpoint, unlike pretty much all statists who look at things from a legality standpoint, even if it's totally evil and immoral. If politicians say that it's legal, then that means it's good, right? Well, here's the reality. The TSA was an unwelcome, unwanted, unneeded, and not to mention unconstitutional, if we're going by legality, government agency that was created by George W. Bush's cronies to weed out those big, scary terrorists immediately after 9/11. It was called the Patriot Act. I call it the Unpatriot Act, in which no voter ever voted for it. It was just defined into existence without any input from the American public. Since then, most people continue to this day fall for the narrative that this organization is such a kind, loving group of individuals that care so much about your safety and protection. I know that a lot of folks say that I'm way too hard on the TSA, but how can anybody who says that they believe in freedom of movement and privacy not be? Anybody who still defends the TSA and the United States ruling class are putting the blame on Democrats, Republicans, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, or, as usual, Trump. In other words, everybody in the government is getting blamed except the root cause of this problem, the creation of the TSA itself. Anybody who makes a living off violating natural human rights, let alone the ones clearly stated in the Fourth Amendment in the Constitution, if we're going by legality, does not deserve a paycheck, let alone sympathy. We're being told how sorry we should feel for these pawns of the state who make a living off holding up your ability to get from place to place. By way of fear tactics, they ordered you to go through cancer-causing X-ray devices, rummage through your stuff, inappropriately touch you, and take you into custody, making you miss your flight if they don't like anything about you, such as if your tube of toothpaste is too big. Those aren't essential employees, unlike what the media says. Yes, they might have been treated as political pawns for a short time and slept in their cars. They have families to support, and some of them might not have had enough gas money to drive to work during those tough few weeks. Assuming that's true, you're telling me this hasn't been experienced at least once by practically every other day-to-day person who is also living paycheck to paycheck? How come when people like us, actual productive people who do nothing wrong, when we lose our jobs due to factors completely out of our control, it's no big deal. But as soon as when it comes to thugs who work for the giant parasitical ruling class that robs and abuses you, suddenly when they don't get paid once or twice, that's when it becomes a huge issue and the world stops. And then they ask us to donate more of our money to them and give them gifts. What does that extra $11.40 TSA security fee that they tack on at the end of every sale when you buy an airfare ticket, where does that go? Why aren't statists who support the TSA and want a police state at airports asking or answering any of these questions? Did any of you feel sorry for me when I lost my job a few years ago? Oh, that's right. I don't work for the government, so therefore I'm not essential, right? I'm not a famous podcaster with a huge national following and millions of subscribers, like Patrick Bet-David or Stephen A. Smith. My message to the world, for the most part, is unknown to the masses and doesn't fall in line 100% with the party line put out by the media. So therefore, my message isn't important. How come I seem to be the only one on YouTube other than Larkin Rose who is speaking out and being very vocal about wanting more freedom for you than what you want for yourself? I'm doing this especially as it relates to your freedom of movement, your natural right to fly freely and unimpeded without being abused and treated like a slave. Maybe the turds working for the TSA who got screwed can do some self-reflection about the job that they chose. For Christ's sakes, do something productive with your life, TSA people. Do something beneficial. Develop a skill or a talent. Start a career. If you can't, there's always fast food restaurants that are hiring all the time. You don't have to be talented to get a job there. At Walmart, the average starting pay is $15 an hour. You'd at least be doing something positive that doesn't violate people's natural rights. You won't have to live under the constant stress of working for the government in which this non-payment stuff can happen, as you now found out the hard way. But choosing a thankless job that requires you to hold people up in getting from place to place, patting people down, and instilling fear into them, that's not loving your country. That's not serving the American people. That's not keeping anybody safe. What that is contributing to the downfall of American society by creating a police state. You are doing your job to continually fuck up the whole flying experience for everybody. You get no sympathy from me, nor do you deserve any. Start having some respect for other human beings and start having some respect for yourselves. There isn't any evidence that the TSA has foiled one terrorist plot since the year 2001. All of what they do, they are theater. They provide no actual value to society. They are a nuisance that needs to be disbanded ASAP. But I know that I have no control over that, so here's what I'll say instead, me being solutions-oriented. We should be wanting to make things better in the air travel industry. Nothing is going to change if we don't get off the couch and do anything as a group at the same time in unison. But in order for that to happen, we have to do the work. We have to build a volunteerist society. There is no other option. If we just accept and spread awareness about a crappy situation and do nothing else, then things are just going to get worse, like they do whenever you're operating within the system. For a long time, the decline of society was gradual, and now it is rapid. These are the results that we get for accepting whatever the government does, going along with it, and not working together to make things better. We get the world in which people can't even define what freedom is. I'll see you next time.